Welcome to our presentation. We had the food item Vegemite. My group members include Jocelyn, Taylor, Carson, Sam, and Zach. What is Vegemite? Vegemite is a dark brown, savory sandwich spread. It's similar to America's Nutella chocolate spread, but it is with a saltier taste. Vegemite originated from Australia in 1922, but only became popular starting in the year 1939, right at the beginning of World War II. In 1942, Vegemite was so popular, Australia had to begin to ration it for the armed forces during World War II. Australians are also known for bringing Vegemite with them during travel outside of the country for fear of not having it. Vegemite is also banned from all prisons in Australia because prisoners began making alcohol out of it because of the high yeast concentration. They were able to make homemade alcohol in the prison toilets, and this was quickly banned due to not being able to have that. Ingredients in Vegemite. The base of Vegemite is made from the leftover yeast extract from beer companies, from the beer production factories in Australia. The main ingredients are salt, mineral salt, vegetable extract, malt extract, and vitamin B. The vitamin B in Vegemite comes from niacin, thiamine, riboflavin, and folate. And Vegemite is also kosher, halal, and vegan certified. Some beer companies in Australia sell their leftover yeast from beer production to gain a little more money on their waste, so they are not just throwing this away, and this is a way for them to increase their net income and not have to just throw away their extra product, rather than they could sell it and make a profit off their own waste. Pieces of culture. Bringing Vegemite with them during travel. Australians typically do this because in 2006, Vegemite was seen as being banned in America because it contained a special kind of vitamin B, which was not yet approved in America by the FDA. And TSA agents began searching Australian passengers on airplanes for Vegemite because it is not allowed in America. It has since been approved by the FDA and is allowed in America now, but it is still scarcely found in grocery stores and convenience stores and gas stations, anywhere where you might buy typical food items. So for this, Australians typically bring it with them just to have a little sense of home and to also have one of their favorite food items. It became a staple food in Australia because of the reusability of the excess yeast being dumped by these breweries in the south of Australia. As I talked previously, this was a way for the breweries to make a little extra money on their waste from production. It was first advertised as a benefit to children's health, but that was quickly failed as people discovered that it was beneficial, but not as beneficial as the company was claiming when they first developed this food item. Vegemite is in direct competition with Marmite, which is another similar spread. But now, since the invention of Vegemite, it now far outsells Marmite. In the typical year, Vegemite produces about 22 million jars, and the population of Australia being about 25 million means that there is almost 1 jar per Australian person a year being produced. Vegemite is also mentioned in numerous Australian songs from around the 1980s. Rock bands, and is also mentioned in numerous children books as a way to get them introduced to different food items from Australia. And many Americans who have tried this spread are not fans, and for example, an Australian crowd member gave Steve Harvey some at his show, and he said that the name sounds like pesticide and it also tastes like pesticide. So they are not fans of the salty spread. Who makes it? Vegemite was invented by Dr. Cyril Callister. Dr. Callister was a chemist employed by Fred Walker Company, which many of you now know as Kraft Foods Limited. They also make things in America such as that famous mac and cheese that everybody enjoys. The high demand of Vegemite has caused it to be mass-produced in Australia by mega cheeses at their Melbourne manufacturing facility. Melbourne is in the very south of Australia on the eastern half. This facility in Melbourne produces 22 million jars of Vegemite per year and is the #1 selling spread in all of Australia. This spread may be thought to be just like any other household spread, but Vegemite actually runs to be about 3 times the cost of the jar of Nutella, and the typical jar of Nutella costing anywhere from about $2 to $4, it brings the total all the way up to anywhere from $6 to about $12 a jar in American dollars. To this day, the recipe is nearly unchanged from that 1922 original Dr. Callister recipe, which just goes to show how much Australians and that 2% of people outside of Australia enjoy the original recipe and enjoy it to this day. When is Vegemite eaten? Vegemite is typically eaten by all Australians of all ages. It is typically not given to infants just because of the salty taste, but some parents do allow this. The spread can be eaten at any time of day and is usually used as a snack. So it goes from breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It can be kind of compared to peanut butter in America, as you can have a PB&J for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or peanut butter toast. And that leads me to my next point, is that Vegemite is usually prepared on toast, in a sandwich, or on some crackers with butter. Once again, similar to peanut butter in America, being able to be on toast or in a sandwich, or even have some peanut butter crackers for a snack. Vegemite is also sometimes used to flavor soups, gravies, meat pies, potato pies, and any kind of dessert that you want more of a savory flavor with. And it is also common to come across people that enjoy it just by the spoonful, straight from the jar. Once again, similar to peanut butter. I myself like just a spoonful of peanut butter, as I'm sure many of you guys do. Yeah. Geography behind Vegemite. As you can see here on the left side, there's a map of Australia broken down into different territories. And as you can see at the top right of the map, or the northeast, you see the Great Barrier Reef, and then as you see the Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, right there above Tasmania. This is where a majority of the population lives, with a little bit of the population living on that west coast in Perth. But Vegemite is made in Port Melbourne, Victoria, right there at the south, right above Tasmania. And 90% of the ingredients are actually sourced in Australia, which keeps the money regulating in the Australian economy and keeps Australian businesses afloat. A small amount of the yeast, though, is imported from outside of Australia, from other countries, and such as America and China. There is an abundance of fertile ground in northeast South Wales through the Victorian area into South Australia, to where these ingredients are grown. And they're typically grown in this area because, as you can see from our map on the left side here, a large majority of Australia is actually desert, and that's why a lot of the people live on just that east coast and west coast. So that makes the east coast over here just perfect ground to grow these ingredients. And 98% of the Vegemite is sold right there in Australia after being produced, with about 2% of the Vegemite being exported to other countries. And Vegemite was owned by a U.S. company, Modeli's, until the Australian company Bega Cheese bought it in 2017 for about $436 million. Health benefits of Vegemite ingredients. So the vitamin B that I talked about earlier that's contained in Vegemite, it helps provide a vitality at the start of the day, helps get you going, kind of like that orange juice here in America. Thiamine, it helps improve all of the brain functions, along with riboflavin, which helps support that nervous system and that spinal cord to help you keep you extra sharp all day long with all your reflexes. And niacin will help you release energy in the morning, sort of like how carbohydrates are stored and saved for later energy consumption. And folate actually helps fight fatigue, so when you have some Vegemite and you go have a workout, you can thank that folate for keeping you going and help you get that last rep in. Here are my group's works cited. As you can see, we use a variety of articles formatted here in APA. And thank you for listening to our presentation, and I hope you all enjoyed, and you'll go out and you'll try some Vegemite. Americans typically aren't big fans, but I myself have never tried it, but this presentation has inspired me to hopefully go pick some up and give it a try. Thank you, and have a great weekend.